Men are hurting, man. Men are hurting. And the feminist culture tells you, don't cry because you're the problem anyway. And the masculinist culture tells you, don't cry because boys don't cry. So you just aren't able to talk about how scared you are you can't provide for anybody. You can't talk about how scared you are that you don't understand your kids and what's going to happen to them. You can't talk about anything. So at least Donald Trump lets you have an emotion besides shame. And so, guys, we can sit up here all day long and do this talking point gumbo stuff that we do. But I'm telling you right now, you guys are going to be in trouble next. Because until somebody fixes these problems for real people, there is a rebellion in this country. And anybody who comes out and sounds like they aren't pulling their talking points out of Cracker Jack box will get a hearing, whether they're right, wrong, or otherwise.
All right, hang on one sec. Margaret Hoover, to Van's point about the media, mainstream media becoming fringe, which I'm not sure I quite agree with. But
you can't. Actually, given our surroundings,
right,
that's actually...
But it is certainly true that the mainstream media does not have the impact it once was. What do you, John Major, see as the future for what reporting looks like as we go forward into the next Trump administration?
Yeah, so it seems like they are finally admitting it, even if, they don't really want to quite come out and completely say, yeah, the media is dead. They're getting there. And you heard that there in that first clip when you heard her say that the media doesn't have the power that it once had. And we proved that with this past election. We most definitely proved it with this past election because we saw a never-ending cycle this past election, cycle of complete fluff pieces. Kamala's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, she is so divine. She is amazing, awesome. This is a perfectly run campaign. Blah, 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 blah. Complete fluff piece. And it was the complete opposite for Trump. Oh, Trump bad, Trump Hitler. Trump's going to take us back to slavery. Trump's going to be a dictator. Blah, blah, blah. Terrible Trump, terrible Trump. Trump is the devil himself. Everything, right? And yet, he still won. He still won. Even though that was our media, which I don't consider media at this point. It is, I don't even know what you would call it at this point. I genuinely don't. But it's not our mainstream. It's not the news. Okay, that is something completely different than the news. You can't categorize that as news anymore. Unfortunately, in this country, the things that we have on national television really aren't even the news anymore, which is crazy to say. All because of the hatred for one man, which is crazy. Absolutely insane. But like I said, we proved that they don't matter anymore. They don't hold the power. And you heard Ben Carson, I played the clip several times in the past for you guys. Ben Carson said this past election was going to be a measuring stick as to whether or not the media still had the power that they once had. And they don't. They don't at all. So yeah, they are coming to finally that conclusion that they aren't it anymore.
Look, guys, a lot of the stuff we're doing is the same stuff we do all the time. We got a chance to talk real here. I want to talk real. You guys shouldn't be as happy as you are because 2016 people voted for change because they were fed up and sick of it and gave Trump a chance. 2020 people voted for change because they were sick of Trump. 2024 they voted for change. They're probably going to vote for change a bunch more times because something is off, man. There's something really going wrong for real everyday working folks in this country. And I'm not sure either party has an answer yet. We know how to beat each other up when the other one's in power. But can we solve any of these problems? My perspective doesn't come from the focus groups. It doesn't come from sitting on CNN next to my beloved Anderson Cooper. I was on the ground supporting folks in Philadelphia, trying to get folks to vote. I was trying to help Jewish voters get to the polls in the Philly suburbs. And I'm telling you, we are way off. The entire political class is way off. First of all, digital is a new door knocking. You got to understand that. We were laughing our butts off at Donald Trump for suspending his door knocking campaign and letting Charlie Kirk and Elon do a bunch of stuff online. We said, these guys are idiots. These guys are stupid. Then you start knocking on these doors. You know what people come to the door with? Their phone. in their hand. They're in a 24-hour digital surround sound that has nothing to do with CNN, has nothing to do with any stuff that we do. I asked my son, I got a teenage son, I asked him, who are the most influential people in the world today? I'm thinking to myself, he's going to say Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z. He says, Kai Cent, Aiden Ross, Jinxie, and Sketch. I don't know who he's talking about. I said, what platforms are you on? He goes, I'm on Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. I said, that sounds like you need to go to the hospital. What are these platforms? I'm telling you guys, the mainstream has become fringe, and the fringe has become mainstream. There are platforms, there are people out there that are getting 14 million streams, and we're on cable news getting 1 or 2 million. And so there is a whole world out there. Kellyanne Conway, I hate to agree with her, but I do a lot of times. Donald Trump understood that and we didn't. And it's not just Democrats that don't. The entire political class is way off.
Yeah. Donald Trump understood something that a lot of politicians didn't understand. And that is what you heard Van Jones say there. The fringe has become mainstream, and the mainstream has become the fringe. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, we saw that play out. Going on a podcast or on a streamer's stream, going on a stream with a big streamer like Aiden Ross, right? Like Trump did. That had a lot more impact than the 24/7 news run on how great, allegedly great, the lie about how great Kamala is and how terrible Trump is, right? That meant absolutely nothing, but these conversations on these streams, on Joe Rogan's podcast, that meant a whole lot more. That meant a whole lot more. And like I said, we saw that play out there. And in this interview, Kevin McCarthy actually said something that was quite interesting as well. And he said this. He said Republicans didn't win. Donald Trump won. And to a certain degree, I 1000% agree with him. Donald Trump did something and understood something that just a lot of politicians in general don't quite understand, especially the rhinos, right? Which we're pushing those out of the party, but we still have a party that has rhinos in it. That just is what it is, right? And I've talked about some of those folks in the past, and when they come up for re-election, I will be mentioning them, so stay tuned, because we got some voting to do, all right? But yeah, Donald Trump understood that. Hey, I need to do some of these things that are that used to be on the fringe, because now they're mainstream. I'll go on a podcast with Aiden and we'll get 15 million views like that. Or I'll go on this podcast with Joe Rogan and we'll get 50 million views like that. But if I go on NBC or CNN, I might get 1.5 million, 1.5, 2 million at best, maybe. I mean, and on top of the low numbers in comparison to the Joe Rogan podcast or the stream with Aiden Ross, on top of the low numbers going on mainstream media, it's going to be hostile with these folks. These folks are on CNN or on MSDNC or NBC, whatever. They're going to try to keep putting me in these gotcha moments, which I'm not going to give it to them, but it just becomes annoying at a certain point. Like, can we just have an honest conversation like what Trump did with Kristen Welker recently? And I showed you guys that video as well. And he said, you know what? You have so much potential. Like, if you just could be fair and honest, and, you saw her, like, chuckle a little bit when he said that. She gave, like, a little smirk. But it's true. The mainstream media has so much potential. Obviously, they're on television. But they just can't be honest. They can't be fair. They just absolutely can't do it. When it comes to Trump, what's the chick's name on, I want to say it's CNN, where she was actually talking to Trump's, I think he appointed her as press secretary this time around. I can see her face, but like she got so angry that a colleague of hers was getting called out for Trump derangement, I believe it was, and she started stuttering, and like I was like, "Yo, like you're really that upset? You're really that Trump deranged? Like this is insane. You're on national television. Just be honest and fair. If you want to go after Trump, by all means, go after him. Trump is not God. He isn't, and nobody treats him as such. Even though some people on the left try to say that people on the right treat Trump as God. Absolutely not. That is completely disrespectful and shameful to come out of anybody's mouth. Trump is not God. He is not above criticism. Criticize him all you want to, but criticize the Democrats too the same way. But you know why they can't? Because Democrats would absolutely crumble. If they interviewed Democrats or even Kamala, could you imagine Kamala getting the same type of interview treatment that Trump has gotten this past election cycle? Oh my goodness. She couldn't even answer the lob questions, and Sonny Hostin admitted to it. Sonny Hostin came out after Kamala went on The View and absolutely botched that question. Hey, what would you do differently than Joe Biden? And Kamala said, well, I can't really think of anything. Sonny Hostin came out later on after the election and said, yeah, that was meant to be like a lob. I wanted her to have like this great moment. She couldn't even dunk the lobs, let alone you got some defense out there, you know, and giving her the same type of treatment that they gave Trump. Oh, boy. Oh, man. Woo, the stuttering, the looking around, the nervous. Bro, oh, man. I would have paid to see that. Legitimately. I would pay to see Kamala get interviewed the same way that Trump gets interviewed. I would pay to see it. Even this recent Kristen Welker interview, I would pay to see Kamala get interviewed that way. I would pay. I'm so serious. I would pay for it. Right? And of course, I'd make a video on it afterwards because it'd be absolutely hilarious to watch. Absolutely hilarious to watch. But let's jump back into Van Jones because, once again, he's coming back to it. At least it seems like he may be coming back to reality.
How the hell did Donald Trump figure out the mainstream media is the fringe and the fringe is now the mainstream? How the hell did Donald Trump figure out? I mean, Joe Rogan is obvious, right? Like, we knew the guy had a big audience. It's not like we were like stunned, but like, how the hell was he, the 78-year-old guy who doesn't even have a computer and still like writes handwritten notes? How did he become the guy who cracked the code on, to your point, running a cultural, I don't even want to say campaign, running
It was a movement.
Look, heading a cultural movement versus a campaign.
Every one of your people knows Elon. Listen. Yeah, so everybody keeps, the problem is you have a framework in your mind that, how can Donald Trump? Guys, can we cut it out? Donald Trump is not an idiot. Donald Trump, let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me, you, and all critics. You know why we know? Because he has the White House, the Senate, the House.
Totally agree.
The popular vote. He has a massive media ecosystem bigger than the mainstream built around him and for him, and a religious fervor in a political movement around him. And his best buddy is the richest person in the history of the world, and the most relevant Kennedy is with him. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth and in our lifetime, and we're still saying, well, how was this guy? We look like idiots to ordinary people.
You're totally right.
I do agree with one major point. Trump is smarter than them all. These folks, the light's on, but nobody's home. And, you know, the funny part is they're continuing to try to do the same stuff. Like on that, in this, it's called the, what is it called? The Deal Book Summit. It's this right here. Okay. This is where that Van Jones conversation came from.
Boys don't cry. Streams. And we're on cable news getting 1 or 2 million. And so there is a whole world out there. Kellyanne Conway, I hate to agree with her, but I do a lot of times.
This chick right here, this never Trumper. Oh my goodness. If you have the time, check out this video. Because it is interesting to watch because especially this chick right here. I can't think of her name right now, but she's a never Trumper, and she just does not get the plot. She just doesn't get it. I mean, it's lights on, but nobody's home. It's just hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump some more. And even Kellyanne Conway, who's sitting next to her, said at one point, and she kind of like hinted like she was talking about her, but she said at one point, some people act as if like the election hasn't already happened and Trump didn't already win, you know, and it's because the never Trump chick is always, bro, the whole time it's just Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. How dare these folks, elect Trump? And she tried to scold Kevin McCarthy because Kevin McCarthy is at that desk as well. And she says, "Yeah, you're in part responsible for Trump becoming president." And he replies like, "You're welcome." That just it's hilarious, man. It's hilarious. Give it a watch. But yeah, man. Some people, at least in the media, are finally admitting it. Like, yo, we're on the way out. We are the fringe at this point. But then, of course, there's a lot of folks who still just don't get it, which bodes well for us, because I feel like that is part of the reason why, Democrats lost. It's because people have woken up to the truth and saw that our news is no longer the news. It's people's opinions. It's Democrat propaganda. It's no longer, hey guys, this is what happened while you were sleeping, or this is what happened yesterday that you might have missed. This is how it went. These are the possible ramifications of it. How do you guys feel about it? It's no longer just that. It's no longer the news. It's, hey guys, this is what happened, and this is how we're reporting on it because Trump's bad and Republicans are the ones that caused it. And vote for Kamala because she's going to fix it. That's our so-called news now. And, hey, keep at it. Keep at it. Because if they continue going down this path, I feel pretty darn confident that our midterms in 2028 are going to be some great times. Going to be some fantastic times. Whoever our nominee is in 2028, J.D. Vance, Vivek, Candace Owens, Byron Donalds, Larry Elder, whoever our candidate is at that point is going to win easily. And in the midterms, we're still going to hold serve. So, hey, maybe I should shut up about this stuff. Maybe, yeah. Matter of fact, I'm probably not going to touch on any of this stuff anymore. We just going to let the media just continue on with their Trump derangement, and we're going to watch them lose again in the midterms in 2028, and we're going to be happy as hell about it. All right? Peace and love, y'all. I'm out.